Hello everyone, welcome back to another high-level match of StarCraft 2. Now what I've got for you today is a best of 3 series from the GSL Code S, from the round of 8 actually, from the GSL Code S. I don't think we can quite call this the quarterfinals, because this time around, rather than doing like a single elimination bracket from like the round of 8 onwards, they decided to do 2 4-man groups, and then out of each of those groups, 2 players move on, and I think they're doing the semifinals, well they have to be doing the semifinals, as well as the grand finals as a single elimination style. I mean, I could, I guess, do double elimination, but that would make it very complex. Either way, doesn't really matter too much. This is from the round of 8 of the GSL, which means that only the very best of the very best are left over. In game number 1 of this best of 3 series, we find ourselves on the map Neo-Humanity. Now, playing here with the blue SCVs, we're looking inside of the main base of Maru. A man, of course, who's very familiar with the GSL Code S, because he's won, well, more of them than anybody else out there. His opponent in the opposite corner, no barracks around the main base, playing right here with the red Terran pieces. The Gumi god himself, the tall Terran. Well, of course, he goes by the name of GuMiho. Alrighty, GuMiho apparently starting this series off with a bang as he decides to build a barracks on the other side of the map. Now, this is something that GuMiho, of course, does all the time. While Maru, he doesn't really have any particular weaknesses in any of the matchups. He's the #1 player from Korea, of course. He's been playing the game for a long time. Generally speaking, however, he likes to play this game defensively. So he's not afraid to be on your face, he's not afraid to proxy or be aggressive or whatever, but generally speaking, he'll be playing that more defendable Terran style, right? Where you're just defending and then eventually you're overwhelming the opponent. GuMiho, on the other hand, is a bit of a madman. This guy, he's been going for, well, Terran mech in TVT, he's been going for quick double starport where he rushes out additional Vikings, and it suddenly creates additional value then for his siege tanks because, well, he's got that air superiority, liberators can come out. GuMiho can sort of do everything. And apparently, well, that includes building a barracks on the other side of the map and rushing out a bunch of Reapers on that end of the map instead. Now, of course, there's going to be units available as well here for our player in blue, who has seen that his opponent didn't build a barracks inside of the main base, so he's decided to build a bunker. Okay, are we going to be trading SCVs? Is that what we're doing? Yeah, the Marine does pop out eventually, so scouting SCV for an SCV that was building the bunker, fair enough. Maru has decided to go for the command center in the main base. He's been doing this a lot in both TVT as well as in Terran versus Protoss. So, yeah, I actually kind of like seeing this. It's just a safer approach. It does cost a little bit, right? To morph it into an orbital and then to fly it to the low ground. I mean, you're going to lose a little bit of mining time there. Not quite optimal, especially the SCV production time, I suppose, is lower by a very small amount. So I do like this start here for Gumi, but of course it's very minor. Quick Cyclone, by the way, here for GuMiho. Okay. The SCV, I don't think it's the same one that built that barracks, but okay, there's another one here on the left side of the map. He now also decides to proxy the starport. Okay, GuMiho treating the entire map as his main base. You'd love to see it. Widowmine coming up here. Of course, you can send it across if you want to, like, put it in a medevac or something like that. But if you look right here on the production tab for our player in blue, Maru has decided to go for a second barracks, a hell of a lot quicker. So he's not going to have any flying unit here anytime soon. And because of that, it's once again just going to be a very defensive style for the blue Terran. Now, the fact that this barracks, though, is not going back home may very well indicate that GuMiho wants to go for some Terran mech. I'd be surprised if he wants to just sacrifice it for high ground vision. Now, the Widowmine over here did get the kill right there on that Reaper. One of them, that is. But I think, yeah, a Reaper for a Widowmine is a trait that Gumi will take any day of the week. He's trying to get that high ground vision over here, and that is why the barracks, of course, is flying around. Gets another Reaper. Not bad at all. Liberator coming up here on the left side of the map. We do indeed get the lock-on improvement here in just a moment too for the Cyclone, which you wouldn't be getting if you're only going to be going for a single Cyclone. This is something that Maru doesn't know about just yet. Reaper Grenade from the low ground. Lovely micro here coming out of the Towel Terran. Really, really nicely done. He's of course, by the way, called the Towel Terran because apparently he's got excessive sweating in his hands. So if you ever see GuMiho playing in a offline tournament and he's playing on a stage, for example, he's always got a little towel covering his mouse. So he's got a towel, then, you know, underneath that is the mouse, and on top of that is his hand, which is kind of a fun way to play. People started calling him the Towel Terran before they realized that it was a medical condition. But yeah, it kind of stuck, and I don't think it's you know, it's necessarily a bad thing. But anyways, nice scan over here as well to continue lock on here. Is he going to be able to kill that? I don't think so, because the SCVs here, yep, they're hugging that siege tank. That is love right there, man. What is love? Anyways, Liberator in the main base being annoying too. Looks like Maru though is holding on. Yep, he is holding on here. Okay, now what is the follow-up going to be? Looks like a second factory has been built already. Oh, Jimmy can't reach it. Super annoying, of course. Maru forced to mine out only a couple of the mineral fields here. He's trying his best. This is actually a killer position for a Liberator. Look at that. The Marines just can't get in range without taking a beating themselves. Now, eventually... Oh, sorry, Jimmy. Sorry, Mark. Anyways, eventually there is a Viking now available, and this apparently will be pushed back. Now, of course, Maru at this point, he's seen the barracks flying around. He has also seen the LEDs, right? Those red lights right over here in the Cyclone, and that is a pretty clear indicator that, well, this is going to be a mech-based army. There's no reason why we'd ever get that. Although battle mech against Terran in general is a little bit funky. So we do have a group of Cyclones. We did, of course, get the upgrade, but it's really not that many. Now, Maru trying to inch forward. Is he going to be able to get a shot? He will. Luckily, though, GuMiho drives backwards, just barely in the nick of time. Viking looking around here, trying to figure out what's happening. He, by the way, did not lose the barracks. Now, I think that's primarily due to the fact that he wants to continue building additional factories. So, in order to go for a factory, you need to have a barracks out on the map. I don't know if it's worth it, though, for GuMiho to drop a mule and then repair that barracks back up to full. It's nice and all, but that mule probably was better used mining at home, but I guess GuMiho decided to take a chance here. He's feeling good at the very least, right? Like, that is a confidence move and a half. Third command center here, very quick for our player in red, and that may very well be the advantage that GuMiho is actually banking on. By the way, apparently it says best of 9 here. That is not accurate. It's a best of 3. Best of 9 at this point in the tournament would be nuts. We never see best of 9s in StarCraft 2. Anyways, best of 3 series. I think I mentioned that at the start as well, right? Jimmy, jeez. Oh my god, that was brutal. Jeez, did you see his with his fist up in the air as well when he landed? That's amazing. That's the most brutal shot by a siege tank I've ever seen. Jimmy will not be forgotten, man. He died a superhero. Just like that guy from the viewer submitted game recently. If you haven't seen that one yet, I'll go ahead and post a link to that series down below in the description of this video, because that is an absolute banger. A bit of a lower league game, though. I think that's a gold versus platinum league game, if I'm not mistaken. But my god, that may have been Jimmy the superhero right there. Okay, so GuMiho playing Terran mech. He's meching it happen, but look at that. He's got... Oh, okay. You were wasting supplies. Sorry, you were stuck. Sucks to be you, man. He could have maybe gotten away after this depot finished. It's a little early. Anyhow, he's got double starport over here with double factory, and now apparently, yeah, we have another starport, another factory coming up. So it's a 1-to-1 ratio. Not normally what we see. There's the fusion core coming up as well for Gumi. Dude, I love watching GuMiho play. Like, GuMiho gives me very strong Dark vibes. You know, like, Dark has been playing like a madman for ages, and he somehow, some way seems to be able to make strange strategies work. GuMiho has been playing a lot against Dark over the last few years. Maybe some of those strategies are rubbing off a little bit, man. He's a bit of a wild card, that's for sure. Okay. So everything Maru has done, by the way, so far is considered normal, right? Second starport coming up here. I mean, that is honestly... Okay, well, you know what? I take that back. I didn't even really pay very close attention right there to what Maru was doing. He's decided to go for a second factory before additional barracks production. Yeah, so this is really him playing somewhat of a bio-based army, but he's really just transitioning towards Vikings and siege tanks, right? Like, that's what he's mainly producing here. Now, we've got the Yamato cannon research right away. This does get scanned here by Maru, so he does see that his opponent is ready for some battlecruiser play as well. It does indeed start off together with the Infernal Pre-Igniter. So GuMiho, just like me previously, was putting his opponent on a bio-based army, and that may very well be the case, but judging by the fact that he's going for gases right now, there's gonna be a lot of mechanical units ready to support a potential bio bull, and I would be very surprised if he makes that call at this point. So the Infernal Pre-Igniter, still not bad, of course. It's still going to be helpful against a couple of these Terran units, but considering the start of Stimpack and combat shields, I've got a feeling that this is not what Maru originally had planned. Now, once again, another Marine is flying across the screen here on the right side as GuMiho has secured this 4th base already. Even though Maru's 3rd was a little bit late, his 4th was a little bit quicker than the opponent. So, all things considered, this is a very even game. Now, the Battlecruisers, though, how good are they? The problem with Battlecruisers in this matchup is that they can get shut down pretty handily with those Ravens, right? So that's exactly what Maru decides to do as well. He's adding on more starports. He's going Vikings, he's going Ravens. He's going for upgrades for his Ravens and his Vikings as well. I don't think that's a bad call at all. Getting more damage output there and being able to shut down those Battlecruisers temporarily is massive. Keep in mind, when they are Interference Matrix, not only can they not Yamato, but they can also not use their tactical jump ability. It's a cooldown-based thing, and yeah, when they are disabled, they cannot actually use it. So if you manage to land the Interference Matrix, these Battlecruisers, they are not going to be able to go home, and there's a very good chance that the Vikings will be able to shut them down. It is just straight starport production, though. Yeah, we're mostly just making siege tanks here on both sides. We're mostly just making siege tanks here to make sure that the opponent can't just come in with a big ground army and kill you, while at the same time, you know, transition towards that air-based army. So both players just going straight into Sky Terran. 5 starports on the side of Maru right now. We've got 5 of them as well at this point for GuMiho. There's the fusion core here for Maru too. Battlecruisers have finally arrived though. I actually don't think he wants to get carried away making Battlecruisers. Yeah, he's only made the 2 of them. Interference Matrix! Jump! Okay. When they're jumping, of course, it can no longer be cancelled. Let's see. Okay, well this is still a scary army though. There's a lot of siege tanks for our player in red. Maru at this point has about a gajillion Vikings, but Vikings are good and all, but they're not particularly great at finishing a game off. Okay, Cyclone's still locking on. Look at the confidence at which Maru is, or sorry, GuMiho is playing here against Maru. Most players play very, I don't know, cautiously against Maru, you know? Like, they don't move around the map like this. I know it's funny to talk about confidence when you're watching somebody play video games, but like the maneuvering here from GuMiho, if you've seen enough games, trust me, it makes sense. I'm not a complete weirdo, I promise. There's a lot of confidence here in the way that he maneuvers around. Now, this is a killer position that we've seen a couple times in the past. Very tricky to break. Now, of course, Liberators can be helpful, especially when you do have that air superiority. That's exactly what Maru has fired up here as well. He's now gone for his own Yamato research. That'll be very interesting, because those units are actually going to be well upgraded. Okay, the siege tanks, I think they're going to try and get out of here, because he spotted the Liberators now up in the air, and he knows that his opponent has been making Vikings while he was making Battlecruisers. So therefore, the Viking count on the side of Maru is going to be a little bit larger. 10 Vikings here coming up at once. This is the type of game that Maru didn't really want to play, man, but GuMiho forced him here. Okay, GuMiho now with a nice supply count. 200 in total versus 183 from Maru. He's going for additional command centers here. That hero barracks from earlier, hanging out on the right side of the map. Battlecruisers ready to engage up north. I think they're mostly just going to use this like a little harassment squad. Just send them out whenever you have the tactical jump available, but they'll probably not be too useful. We should probably keep most of our camera over here. Now, those are empty medevacs. He wants to get rid of them right now to open up supply for more stuff as well. There's the anti-armor missiles, though, absolutely massive. Does he have enough to just straight up fight this, though? What are the Viking counts at right now? Way more Vikings for the side of Terran in red. That does mean, oh my god, the Liberator's actually putting in a lot of work. That does mean, yeah, that GuMiho slowly could start winning some of these engagements, but I actually think those Liberators may have just, well, tipped the skills in favor of Maru. We're gonna see some Yamatos, and then I think some teleportation once again from the Battlecruisers. Now it's Maru who's decided to fire up triple Battlecruiser. Okay. Of course, this is a map that's difficult to, well, end on, right? Like, you can't really finish a game very easily on Neo Humanity. There's so many high grounds and so many locations where planetaries can be insane that it's difficult to actually close out a match. So both players just setting up wherever they can. They know very well how this map works, of course, but they also know that the opponent is going to have a difficult time actually clearing everything out. Okay. Quicker upgrades here from Maru. We don't normally talk about air weapons when it comes to timing attacks, but if Terran versus Terran keeps developing the way that it has been over the last year, there's a very good chance that these air weapon timings are going to be super significant. So I'm not even really convinced about the strength of battlecruisers in this matchup, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. I know they're good. I do like them. Oh, wow. Somehow the the mules got stuck on the wrong side. That's interesting. Anyways, I don't know. Like, they're very expensive. There's another one going down. GuMiho getting at least, actually, I don't think that was another one. I think that was the very first one in this entire game, yeah. Anyways, GuMiho getting a good shot in. When the Vikings get a volley off, it's very difficult to actually, yeah, get away, right? Assuming the Viking counts are actually big enough. So at this point, it's 30 Vikings for Gumi versus 20 here from Maru. But Maru is mixing in the Battlecruisers here, so it's a little hard to say. I think in a straight-up battle, just pure Viking is better. A lot of it comes down as well. Ooh, we have Thors getting at it in. Okay, the Thors are obviously amazing when it comes to dealing splash damage from a long distance, but still, they have to actually be able to fire at the units up in the sky, because that's usually their big problem, right? I mean, they get stuck behind stuff if it takes place in, like, you know, a little bit of dead space over here. The Thor is gonna have a difficult time actually shooting its javelin missiles. Anyways, GuMiho trying to take one of the bases that is considered to be, well, Maru's here. He's trying to take one of the bases that the opponent should probably be mining here instead. So rather than a very slow mechanical army, which is what we used to see back in the day, okay, he is, look at him, dude. I love watching Gumi play. He is, yeah, just taking bases here from the opponent and making a very mobile mech army work as well. And in a way, I really feel like GuMiho has forced Maru to play GuMiho's game. Right? Like, I am hard-pressed to imagine that Maru is struggling with this sort of unit composition, but I don't think this is something that Maru practices as much as like a regular marine tank versus marine tank type of game. Planetary Fortress here in the middle of the map in a little bit of trouble, but the Viking count, where are they all? Okay, there they are appearing. Yeah, I was gonna say, man, you guys should not stick around for too long. There's Ravens in the mix right now here too for GuMiho, so that's gonna be for anti-armor missile, but also for those interference matrices. Okay. GuMiho did, by the way, finish the command center, although I think the one over here may have gotten destroyed. Okay, we do have some anti-armor missiles going down on both sides. Missile turrets from the ground, actually, also kind of scary. That's, I guess, again, where those siege tanks come in, because they can actually get rid of those units relatively easily. GuMiho trying to just set up shop wherever he can, but Maru manages to stand tall here. Yeah, he's got a good amount of stuff. I mean, he's gonna go up to about 7 battlecruisers here. 7 battlecruisers, and then about, well, 25 Vikings, 27 Vikings, something like that. Is this really what late game TVT is all about? I really feel like we haven't even really seen early and mid game though in this particular game. Like, there was a little bit of that, of course, with GuMiho proxying all his structures on the other side of the map, but I feel like we've skipped the mid game and we went straight to late game battlecruiser play. Look at him, he's building static defense right now like he's a Zerg, and the same can be said for Maru. They're building, well, Terran spore crawlers, right? Like, normally we see this from spore crawlers, especially, ooh, careful now, Maru. Especially when it's like a Zerg versus Protoss, right? With all of those carriers flying around. The static defense, those spores would then be used to shoot away all the interceptor ships. They're using it in a very similar way. Battlecruisers, though, are very beefy units. Yeah, and they're gonna have an easy time getting rid of all of these. Look at them, Yamato guns left, right, and center. There are a bunch of siege tanks available. GuMiho decides to jump on top of this, which I find a questionable choice. He does have the Yamato guns available as well. Okay, battlecruiser for a battlecruiser? No, I think it's gonna be -2 on the side of Gumi. That jump right there, maybe it was supposed to scare Maru away? Yeah, that was not ideal. Okay, Maru manages to keep all of them alive and he jumps them all the way back home. Maybe he thought he had these battlecruisers already done, or they were on their same control group or something. I don't know exactly when these two finished, but maybe he was assuming he jumped with 4 battlecruisers on 4, well, already damaged BCs there, but last time I checked, man, 4 half HP BCs will still definitely be killing 2 full HP battlecruisers. Okay. So how does this end? I'm honestly not sure. I am honestly not sure. If you can mine out one of the bases of the opponent, that would be amazing. But of course, that is very difficult to pull off. Yeah, both players going north of about 30 missile turrets here. Maru is ready to start sacrificing a bunch of his SCVs because he doesn't need them anymore. He wants them to be destroyed at this point to, well, allow some more supply for actual attacking units. Thor over here gets disabled. Same for that siege tank there too. Now the Vikings, my god, they land so quickly. Alright, they are going to be cleaning out whatever they can, and it turns out landed Vikings are pretty good against structures and even against Thors. In the meantime, the battlecruisers in blue are over here in the bottom left-hand corner, and this command center is super dead. Not really a way here for GuMiho to keep that one alive, although he'll probably be able to replace it with another one of his 17 command centers soon enough. Okay. This is a good bit of harassment here, though, by Maru. There come the Vikings in blue as well. I feel like the Viking count here for Maru... Okay, yeah, this is definitely not all of them, is it? Well, maybe. I don't know. Anyways, I feel like it's not looking as impressive as all of these units right here in red. 33 versus 25. Okay, he's now actually aggressively positioning missile turrets. Is this a slow push with missile turrets? Is that what we're seeing right now, Gumi? It makes sense, I suppose. In theory. I'm just a little afraid that Maru is going to have the numbers here and just jump on top of this and destroy everything. He's just going to continue the harassment over here, though. Obviously, these battlecruisers can just jump back home at a moment's notice. Planetary Fortress in the middle of the map now in a little bit of trouble. Okay, there they go. Yeah, this is what I love to see. Is this the smart move? I don't know, but I love to see it. They're going to be able to get rid of this. Battlecruisers, in the meantime, off to the side as well, are going to be able to use their Yamato cannons, a couple of interference matrices. Vikings here show up as well. They managed to clear out one of those BCs in blue. Okay, Maru starts up another command center here in the middle because that one did disappear. Do we have some anti-armor missiles? We sure do. Maru needs to be careful because those units are very vulnerable. The siege tanks, though, I mean, some of them have gone down, but they're going to continue the harassment here. I wonder if Maru has actually overmade Sky Terror units here. Like, the small handful of siege tanks that GuMiho has had here over the last few minutes has actually been incredibly valuable. They've been killing, well, structures and just bases and everything along those lines. It's a difficult position right now to break. I mean, Maru is going to have to jump this army. He's got a much bigger bank here than his opponent. But can he actually make use of it? My god, these fights are absolutely mental. Everything's covered in that Dorito dust. I guess I'll open up the units tab right over there in the top left-hand corner, and that one signals to us that it looks like the Viking count is heavily in favor of GuMiho. GuMiho is winning this battle. All of those battlecruisers end up going down. Maru's supply count absolutely plummets. He will have a few more battlecruisers finishing up here momentarily, and he does add on 4 additional starports as well. So they're all building right here on the left side, but he still needs to address all of these units that are now in his main base. These Vikings are just picking off whatever they can. The SCVs in red, look at them. GuMiho just brought about a dozen SCVs towards his opponent's main base to repair, to build missile turrets, and to apparently attack refineries. In the meantime, the few reinforcing BCs here from Maru are gonna try and just clear out whatever they can. But this main base is basically dead. Well, you can lift up all you want, but those Vikings are gonna be able to hunt you down pretty easily. GuMiho, dude, coming in with aggressive missile turrets. Here go those siege tanks again. I really like the siege tank clumps. Really good to see. Cyclones, by the way, coming up here. Keep in mind, the Cyclones are properly upgraded as well, and those lock-ons are not to be underestimated. These BCs have already used tactical jump, so they're not going to be able to use it defensively and go back home. Maru is forced to evacuate this side of the map. Insane, dude. It feels like Maru has been scratching his head for the majority of this game, and GuMiho is the one moving around confidently. Right? I mean, normally we see Maru in a very opposite scenario. He's always the one making what is, well, pretty much always the right call. But I like the decision making from GuMiho a lot better. Like, maybe I shouldn't sound so surprised, but Maru has always been such a ridiculous TVT player where you just wonder how you would ever destroy the man because he just looks so confident. But maybe this shenanigans right here for Gumi is catching him off guard a little bit. Yeah, I mean, when you know you're playing against GuMiho soon, right? Like, who do you practice with to prepare? Like, how do you prepare for facing GuMiho? You can look at his replay, sure, but nobody really practices the style that he plays, so it's really difficult to, yeah, actually figure out how to do it. Now, he hasn't won the game yet, but the supply count at this point is very obviously in favor of our player in red. He's maxing out once again as well, so he's playing this relatively casually right now, right? He's not really taking it too aggressively, which I really like. I think that shows a lot of maturity here. Yeah, don't get too over-eager, because this is still Maru, a man who doesn't roll over and die particularly easily. Look at that, 4 Battlecruisers in production. Okay. The main base, though, of Maru is essentially gone. Okay, couple Yamatos here. That's real nice. Yep, love to see that. That's quite a few of those Vikings going down. GuMiho, in the meantime, also lost a bunch of SCVs, but I think he may have actually sacrificed them himself. No, maybe not. He's actually remaking some. Okay. Not exactly sure. He's remaking 7 of them at a time, so he's going to be able to get them back quite quickly. Now, I think GuMiho ultimately, though, will want to force the fight. Because he must realize at this point that he's got a very substantial supply lead, but he doesn't know exactly how big it is, right? He doesn't know exactly how much supply is available right here for Maru. Now, Maru is rebuilding with the units that take the absolute longest to build, which I do like here in this particular case. But it is, of course, very risky. One problem right now as well here for Maru is that he doesn't have any Ravens or any utility anymore in his unit composition, right? Like, it is difficult for him to actually, yeah, find the right call. Look at this. 2 big groups of Vikings hunting down all of the Battlecruisers. This may just be it. The BCs right there in the bottom left-hand corner, the ones that were, well, being chased by Maru's Vikings, even though they were mostly killed, they distracted that Viking army, and I think GuMiho just got the perfect engagement, exactly what he was looking for. He's going to be able to shut down every single one of these Vikings in blue. GG is cold, and GuMiho obtains the victory in game number 1. Okay, that takes us to Ancient Cistern. Now, I fast-forwarded through the first minute and a half of this game until we had a little bit of a deviation, because Maru has decided to go for a faster second barracks, whereas Gumi, he's decided to go for a quicker factory. Both players opting for just a single refinery here for now, so we'll probably be seeing those command centers coming up relatively soon. Anyways, there's gonna be some aggression though. Maru already pumping out those Reapers 2 at a time. Reapers, of course, cost 50 minerals and 50 gas each. So usually you naturally, since you have far less gas income, you naturally start stacking up some minerals and you can dump that on a command center. Alright. In the meantime, the same thing has happened here on the other side of the map. GuMiho doesn't know exactly what he's playing against because he hasn't seen anything. But he does have a fast Hellion here coming up, and those Hellions are still incredibly helpful, especially when the opponent accidentally clumps up their Reapers a little bit too much. But it's a flimsy early game, and this is where, yeah, a lot of the TVTs that I see are decided. Like, most of the early game TVT, it's very hit or miss. One player takes significant amounts of damage, and then suddenly it is game over. SCV there ends up going down pretty quickly. Okay, that is another SCV though, falling as well on the side of Maru. Maru trying to chase down one of the Reapers in red, but Reapers in red, it's a good name for a band. Anyways, yeah, he didn't really get that much value out of it. Still though, catches more of those reinforcing units and gets a grenade off as well. Not a bad start though for Gumi. Yep. I feel like in the early game, with these early game, you know, units, Maru is near unbeatable. So it's going to be hard to gain an advantage against him, but GuMiho has managed to now survive that part of the game. And that is a whole lot easier said than done. Of course, he's got that much faster starport here as well. So we're going to be going for a reactor on the barracks and a tech lab right here on the starport. Okay. So I don't really know exactly what he's cooking up right here in game 2, but at the very least, we're going to be able to see the final result. We'll have to see what dish he's got prepared. Reactor, tech lab. We've got a tech lab as well in the factory. So Maru, once again, setting himself up for a nice defensive game. Gonna be seeing siege tanks. We're gonna be seeing Marines and, well, I mean, it's gonna be a Cyclone first, but yeah, there it is. Third command center is gonna come up nice and early right here for our South Korean Terran. Okay, Raven here for Gumi. And we're gonna start pumping out Marines. There's the third gas as well. The third gas in TVT is really mostly taken just for Raven production. Ravens are just that good. It's funny because you rarely see them in the other matchups, but in TVT, they are amazing. Okay, maybe there's no shenanigans this time around here from Gumi. We'll have to see. I've seen him go for a lot of, like, additional factories or an additional starport, like I was saying in the previous game. Double starport play actually seems something that GuMiho is very fond of right now. At least I saw him play that about a month or two ago. And it looked really strong, even though it's something that is relatively unexplored territory. Raven's got to go into the main base here, just to scout out what's happening. Okay, it sees the Reapers on the edge. He's going to scout the 3rd CC though, and that's a big tell, right? So that's a clear indicator that Maru is not going to get too adventurous. Like maybe he's going to send in a Reaper or two, maybe a medevac drop if he's feeling very ambitious. But for the most part, this is a clear indicator that GuMiho gets to do whatever he likes for the foreseeable future. Now this is something we rarely see. A Viking and a Liberator being produced at the same time out of a, well, a unit with a, or a structure rotor with a tech, or a reactor rotor on it. Jeez. 17 times the charm, as they say, right? Anyways, we see 2 different units here coming out of the starport at the same time. I'm casting this game at 5:30 in the afternoon. Normally I cast early in the morning. I was already wondering about that, actually. I believe I've casted games for many years at this point, right? If I, like, change my schedule up a little bit and I decide to cast in the afternoon, usually I notice it's just a little bit more messy. For some reason, I don't know. I feel like I'm a little bit less on point in the afternoon, which is kind of funny. Anyways, there's a big attack coming here for Gumi. GuMiho has been making a lot more units here out of more structures for a while, and that's because Maru, well, he didn't really get much value out of his early game, and he's decided to go for a quicker 3rd command center. This now means that he has to defend. This is, of course, where Maru is very scary, but I've got a feeling that this is also not where GuMiho is particularly weak. Couple of the Reapers, 3 of them actually, all the leftover ones here in blue, do decide to go across the map, and that is really nice. Because assuming he doesn't take too much damage at home, he can definitely deal some damage there on the other side of the map. Siege tank gets disabled, but right, well, as it was unsieging, so that's good right here for Maru at least. All things considered, that is as bad as, or as good as it's gonna be. GuMiho did get rid of those Reapers in the main base as well, and now the medevac drop arrives. So Maru's gonna pile on the pressure. 3rd command center, okay, started up over here. He doesn't even see what's inside of it, but he decides to unload and just, well, cancel that command center. 3 siege tanks on the other side of the map. A Liberator in the main base. I mean, these Marines, yeah, they are gonna effectively make this an all-in right now, right? I mean, GuMiho is effectively gonna have to win the game with this the next attack of his. I mean, it's gonna be difficult for him to once again secure that low ground without very significant losses. I say that, but I'm also not entirely sure how Maru is gonna be able to stay alive against this particular attack, because these units in red are very scary. Liberators, siege tanks, and a whole lot of Ravens and a bunch of other supportive units. The combination is absolutely lethal when controlled properly. Yeah, this is dangerous. I mean, he decides to go very far forward. Ravens are, for the most part, now out of energy, but there's only 1 siege tank still remaining here for Maru, and that one is currently disabled there. In the meantime, the medevac drop has decided to come back home, so the Terran army here on the other side of the map rejoices as they can go back to mining and they can continue producing. GuMiho with a super big lead right now. Yeah, Maru decides to go for just 1 final drop. He decides to drop on all of these siege tanks to try and pull a rabbit out of a hat. But does he have enough? I don't think so. I mean, even if he stabilizes here, which he may very well do, it is just so many losses. He does still have triple orbital though, which is not to be underestimated. Triple orbital command can actually get a ton of value. Liberators continue harassing. Vikings now also flying across the map. I think GuMiho has just pressed the all army button, man. Getting the siege tanks across would be amazing, but he's a little bit concerned of those medevacs once again returning. Such quick decision making here from Gumi though to immediately start harassing that mineral line once again. Vikings right now start working on one of the orbital commands. The supply count still heavily in favor right now of our player in red. He needs to be careful that he doesn't sacrifice units here for free, but that's quite a few medevacs going down here. The mules right now that were used for mining previously are now desperately trying to just get done whatever they can. Vikings here in the back of the main base. I think Gumi may just be doing it here. Kudos to Maru as well, though, for going for that drop over there, right? Dropping SCVs and Marines on top of his opponent's tanks, just trying to just do whatever it takes The Ravens have been accumulating some energy once again. And there it is. GuMiho obtains the victory 2-0 over Maru.